I'd like to call to order the Yuba City Council meeting, regular meeting of March 7, 2017. Could we have the roll call, please?
Mayor Cleveland,
Here.
Vice Mayor Didball,
Here.
Councilmember Cardoza,
Here.
Councilmember Buckland,
Here.
Councilmember Harris.
Here.
Okay, with that, I will be opening with the invocation, and I would like to ask John of the Youth Commission to lead us in the flag salute afterward. Thank you. Dear God, we thank you for the privilege to serve the people of Yuba City. We ask for your wisdom this evening in finding the best solutions for the needs of our community. Thank you for bringing us through the flood crisis safely. We ask that you continue to protect us throughout the year. And I ask this in the power of your living word. Amen. Amen. To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, John. Kind of put you on the point there. Since you're going to speak anyway, why not? Yeah, get you warmed up. First of all, I'd like to explain a little. I'm a little hoarse. No, anyway. My voice is kind of having difficulty, congestion, and medication kind of turns off the vocal cords a little bit. And then besides that, I would like to announce that it was John Buckland's birthday. We don't know which one it is. He's not going to be happy. We kind of have little celebrations and stuff here. It was on Saturday. It was something to crow about and set fireworks off and all kinds of things on Saturday. Have a parade. But happy birthday, John.
Well, thank you very much, and it's no secret. This is my last year in the 50s, so I'm gonna have a good time for the remainder of the year. But I did appreciate everyone coming out to the parade, and to John Deere for the gift of a what was that we were driving the other day?
Gators, I heard.
Gators,
or something.
yeah, brand new Gator that John Deere gave me.
It was awesome. For a day. Or
For a day, for an hour.
An hour or two.
Then I gave it back. I have no use for it other than the parade. But then the dinner that they threw, that was
It
exceptional.
was a phenomenal dinner.
Yeah, and the fireworks were incredible for hours going off. So, man, now I know what it's like to have a birthday on a real holiday. So it was great. Thank you.
And that was a great day. Okay, now moving on, I have a presentation for Terry Thornton for his dedicated service to the city's recreation program. First of all, I'll just give you the pins right up front. So the newest and then the Yuba City official pins. Don't know where you'll use them now. Forgot to do this. Got it right that time. But here's your proclamation, the official proclamation for you. And I was told a little bit about you and some of your history. So it's great, and it's very honorable, I would say. Terry Thornton, October 2004, March 2017. Terry Thornton provided 20 years in the United States Air Force and 13 years with the City of Yuba City Recreation Department. Terry worked every youth sports program and was valued by staff who say he brought passion to every program he touched. Parents and grandparents of participants often stop by or call in to share their appreciation for Terry's devotion, enthusiasm, and excellent customer service. A downright good guy. Terry had a way of bringing people together and making everyone feel included. Terry assisted implementing the Juvenile Accountability Block Grant, which provided prevention and intervention activities for gang-involved youth. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Stan Cleveland Jr., Mayor of the City of Yuba City, on behalf of the entire City Council, hereby commend Terry Thornton for his outstanding dedication to the Recreation Department and his contribution in enrichment of the Yuba City recreation programs, and sincerely urge all residents of Yuba City to join me in recognizing Terry for his contributions to the Yuba City community. Done on this 7th day, March 2017 at the City of Yuba City, County of Sutter, State of California. A very unassuming man, humble, loved kids, loved to make them feel welcome and come out of their shell and just enjoy life. Would you like to say anything?
I'm kind of speechless here. I didn't expect this. A few people I would like to thank. First and foremost, Linda Griffin, who gave me this opportunity many years ago and who believed in me. I started off as a volunteer coach, had a couple of daughters, and I just always enjoyed working with kids. And then after Linda left, I was thinking, well, you know, maybe I need to go. And then I had another great manager, Ann, there. So I've always had some good managers on this end because without those two, we had Brad on top of them. They gave me the support and the materials and everything I need. So it's just up to me to do what needs to be done, whether it be Monday through Friday for any type of practice, and also on Saturday mornings. Because I know on Saturday mornings, no matter what sport it was, whether it was rain or we had a leak in the roof or something, parents expected a certain sport to be done, so I did what needs to be done, you know. So with that, also, I tried to instill in some of the young folks who worked under me as well the value of working with adults as well as kids, you know. And my favorite line for each new person that came up, I used to tell them, you can treat them like your little brother and sister, except when they get out of hand, you know, you can't knock them upside the head, things like that, you know. You have to have patience, you know. That's what I kind of preach. So I'm not going to stand up here and talk more because I'm kind of nervous, but I'm going to miss Yuba City. We're relocating to Missouri. One great thing about it, I've never been in the Midwest in all of my travels in the military, but the location of my home, I found out is 2 blocks from a Parks and Recreation Center. So the first thing I'm going to do when I get there is go over and say, hey, what can I do? So thank you very much.
Gentlemen will be sorely missed. Anybody wants to try to step into his place, or 2 or 3 or 4 people, we'd encourage it very much. We need good gentlemen and ladies like him. Okay, moving on to public communication. You are welcome to and encouraged to participate in this meeting. Public comment is taken on items listed in the agenda when they are called. Public comments on items not listed on the agenda will be heard at this time. Comments on controversial items may be limited, and large groups are encouraged to select representatives to express the opinions of the group. Written requests. Members of the public submitting written requests at least 24 hours prior to the meeting will normally be allotted 5 minutes to speak. It looks like actually we have one card, and that's Dale McDowell.
Oh, I'm sorry. There were no written requests received.
Okay.
That was just received tonight.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's number 3. Okay.
Exactly,
Number
number
2,
three.
Right up there. Nope, you got it. We want to hear you.
I've been a resident of Yuba City since 1961. It's 50 years plus. I've gone through several high water situations, 63, 65, 86, 97. That includes the dam and levees. So we don't, the city of Yuba City doesn't have an emergency plan whatsoever, none. And it's gotten progressively worse. This last one was the worst one that I've ever gone through, and no form of notification. And I got my notice on the TV 6 o'clock. When I got back home a couple of days later, I had it on my phone message. It was like at 8:58 and 9:41, from 7 o'clock until 9 o'clock. From 7 o'clock, I was sitting at the on-ramp on Queens Avenue on the freeway at 7. At 9 o'clock, I was looking at the Raleigh Shopping Center. So anyway, so you don't have a plan. And to me, that's no excuse. You've had plenty of opportunities to get organization. And my main point being, you had everybody evacuated. They were going, but they wasn't going anyplace, wasn't traveling. In 1997, there was a rumor started that the dam was going to break. It stirred everybody up in complete turmoil. It was a rumor. Somebody thought, no, don't worry about it. If the dam breaks, we've got 10 to 14 hours to evacuate before the water gets here. So I think, well, that don't sound right. So about 4 months later, in the Sacramento Bee, from the Department of Water Resources, it said if the dam broke, we would have 2 to 4 hours and there'd be 10 to 14 foot of water in Yuba City. So this last evacuation we did, you'll drown thousands. So we need to get a plan to move people out, not just get them out on the road. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now, what I would like to ask staff, if the
Mr. Mayor, thank you for inquiring, because I know it's your standard that you don't respond to questions from the public during this open time, but given the fact, I know you're feeling, as I may, that there may have been some comments that would be deserving of clarification, since this is a taped meeting
some
that the public
clarification.
will be viewing. So if you wouldn't mind, we'd have the fire chief come forward and just to provide some overview clarifications with regard, especially the time for evacuation. I know that your council's planning on having a public forum next week, that everyone's welcome to give input at that time, but maybe Chief Daly can clarify just some of the specifics. Thank you.
Sure. This situation, I was here in 86 as well, and in 97 involved in the evacuations as well back then. In 97, I think the evacuations went fairly well because we had something on our side, which was time. And so we had the opportunity to put our evacuation plans in place. This particular incident was very challenging because I got the same notification that everyone else did that said we got an hour. One of the advantages we do have, and you're correct, is that we do have time and distance. And time and distance is important when we have situations, whether it be the dam issue or whether it be an overflow through the spillway. I had been at up at DWR for about 4 days prior to this incident, being briefed on the situation up at the spillway. That morning I was there was not any expectation of any problems at all with the spillway or the emergency spillway. I think it caught a lot of people off guard when they started having a situation deteriorate so quickly with the emergency spillway. So giving a 60-minute heads up, that can be very challenging for us to get a large amount of people out of this community. Can we improve? Absolutely. There's definitely areas that we can improve on and look at our plans, and because we do have plans. We do have emergency plans. We have a slow rise flood plan. We have a dam failure plan. The emergency spillway, that was a little different situation. So we're working on those. We'll continue to work on those. There's always room for improvement, but it was very challenging in a short period of time. And probably the other thing that really challenged us was also not only the outgoing out of the area of our own citizens, but we had an equal amount of people almost coming into our community from the Oroville and Butte County area, which also caused us a lot of challenges, which we didn't have a lot of control over as far as people coming through our community just to get down south through Sacramento. So I'll be happy to answer any questions if that may help.
The only comment I can really make at this time, I think some of us already know, is that there wasn't any scenario set up for, that we know of, at the time for the emergency spillway break. They had the dam scenario, which they said, what I saw was 6 hours to reach us. And they didn't have one for the actual emergency. Now they have that scenario and the timeline figured out and the heights. That's something that is, data we'll be able to use in the future to change our evacuation plans accordingly. And as City Manager Steve said, we are having on the 14th of this month a meeting in the Veterans Hall where all the jurisdictions in Yuba County and the cities and Sutter County and our Assemblyman James Gallagher and our Senator Jim Nielsen, many of us will be in there sitting in the room to listen to what you have to say, solutions, ideas, just to complain. But we're going to start that at 7 o'clock until 9, we hope, and be able to listen. And we will be recording, taking down everything you have to say, and then the recommendations that you have for solutions. So that is just today. The flyer has gone out over the electronic media, and that will be going all over the place out there. I wish we'd had some sitting out there for you guys today, but I didn't call out in time to ask them to make some up. Maybe somebody could make some copies of that to have it ready for them before the end of the meeting. And but we will be doing that, and it'll be to listen to you, and then we will use all that information to improve our future plans. This was a scenario that nobody had planned for. Really, totally, that 60-minute thing was not planned for. It was unthinkable item to have happen. But the unthinkable happens all the time. We're starting to realize in this world. So we better prepare for them all. Okay, if you wish to say.
I have just a couple. I'm going to try to stay within the confines of our protocol for dealing with community input. Yes. So I'll pose it as questions to the chief. Chief, how much in the early going did social media have to play with some of the chaos that was observed?
Well, it's definitely a new experience for us. I'll tell you that with social media. We didn't have that problem in 97 as much, and we definitely didn't have it in 86. We definitely had more, I hate to use the word control, but we were able to get more accurate information out during those times than we were the night that we had this situation. It was very challenging because there was a lot of misinformation going on out there. I think there was a lot of panic going on out there because of the misinformation going out. That's probably one of the biggest challenges we'll have to address and try and overcome.
And then in addition to that, Chief, the accuracy of media reports as they were unfolding, can you just kind of expand upon maybe some of the information that television stations, the conflicting reports maybe that were coming out?
There was a lot of misinformation coming out, even from the media, and it was challenging for us because, like I said, I was there that day earlier, right there down at the river, looking at the situation, attending the cooperators meetings that were going on between DWR and CAL FIRE's incident command team that was managing the incident. And when I left at 12:30, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, everything was going well. They didn't have any concerns whatsoever, and this was one of those things that just totally caught them off guard. In fact, I was probably one of the first ones to get a phone call because I actually have a friend that was inside that group on that team that was being informed by DWR as was happening, and I got the phone call that the situation was taking a drastic turn. And at that point, my phone just started flooding with information, and we had a lot of challenges with media putting out misinformation.
So in 1997, our local radio stations were prepped and ready to go with a lot of the assistance that was provided. If you know what the challenges were with local radio stations this time, given how their formatting works, maybe you could expand on that as to why it took KUBA, actually Willie B., a brand new disc jockey, only been here for 2 months, returned to KUBA and flipped the switch for all 3 of their stations. But maybe if you could talk a little bit about the ramp-up time, to include how long it took Yuba City to get their EOC, their Emergency Operations Center, up and operational.
The Emergency Operations Center itself, the physical part of it, was set up ahead of time. We anticipated to err on the side of safety, which was a good thing that we did. So our EOC was set up, physically set up before the incident even occurred, just as a precaution. I think I'd ordered that maybe 2 days prior as I was attending these meetings. When things broke loose, we were very quick to get the executive team into the EOC for the city. At that point, when we had already met at the EOC, all the executive staff, the police chief, fire chief, public works director, all those personnel, we were already faced with a very difficult challenge. And that challenge was there had already been some counties and cities that had decided that they were going to evacuate. And in '97, it was a lot different because we were able to coordinate with those counties and cities and plan for that evacuation and do some things differently. We didn't have that option this time around. I'm very familiar with also with time and distance and some of the inundation maps. So I knew even if we had a situation, we were going to have some time. Probably a little bit more than what the gentleman mentioned. I think based on the information I was getting from DWR and from the friends I had, coworkers I had up at the incident. So the challenge for us really when we walked in the room was, do we evacuate when a lot of our citizens already were because other agencies were, or do we let things settle down and keep an eye on the situation and adjust as necessary? And at that time, the decision was made that we would, since a lot of people were already doing evacuations, we would at least do an advisory evacuation. So that way it gave an opportunity for people. Our hope was to slow it down a little bit, so it gave an opportunity those who wanted to leave could leave, but yet those that wanted to shelter in place for right now and see what was going to occur next, it kind of balanced it out because we're talking about moving a large amount of people in a very small area. And that's it, that we probably had, of all the communities, we probably had the greatest challenge. In addition to personnel, citizens coming from the Butte County area down into our jurisdiction. I know when I talked to the Marysville Police Department, they were estimating that for every person that was going out of Marysville, they had a person coming in on Highway 70, and they were experiencing some of the very same problems we were.
In relationship to KUBA and KKCY and the other station that's housed out of there, are you familiar that they're in an automated mode at that point? There's no disc jockeys on. It's all running off a recorded and pre-play scenario.
I'm not real familiar with that. No, I'm not.
Okay. So that was another one of the challenges.
Yes.
was getting notification to the local standard that everybody was used to in 1997. And it took, my understanding is it took the disc jockey about 2 hours to go from his residence in Marysville out there, and there he spent the next 2.5 days providing information to the community. And I take my hat off to somebody new to our community and not understanding the whole scenario for trying to give some guidance. So that's all the questions I had for the chief, just clarification for Dale too, as to what was going on at the time.
The flyers are on the back table now, so just to let you know, you can pick them up on the way out. Thank you very much. Thank you. We have a lot of work to do, and we will be doing that, so. What, you want to talk? Okay, bring the card up. Hand it to the clerk.
Hi, I'm Steph Racino, and I'm 1660 Sharon Drive. I just want to tell you that in 2 weeks, there will be a Military Children Appreciation Day. And you can't make this up. It's literally the day of happiness, a National Day of Happiness. So we're going to, as a school district, make it a homework-free day, although Beale already has. I'm sure you remember when Shooter's plane crashed in the Sutter Buttes last year. Children they're a tight-knit community on base, but especially those in the squadron, they all fought. That could be my daddy or my mommy. And we'd like to reach out, and that's every one of you, it's our whole community, and just let those kids know. We know it's tough. You don't know when your mom or dad goes off to work, whether they'll come home. You don't know what's going on in the world. And we have lots of rumors. Rumors of war, and now we're wondering when the big wall of water is going to come. We're going to take one day at New Millennium. The whole place for them is free, and depending on donations from the community, whether they have a little bag of toys, T-shirts, stuff that kids just can feel special. Hey, they know I'm in this too. My parents are, but so am I. And let them feel happy, let them feel proud, and let them know that we care and we love them and we appreciate them. And I'm going to tattletale on the gentleman the second from there, Mr. Buckland. He's letting underage minors drive carts on blacktop for free. Millennium Kart Racing, he's opened his business to these children that day too. And details are on the flyers. They'll be coming out. The public will be notified it next week. And these are the preliminary ones. And just remember, us is you and me, and it's for the children. And double check on me that it's National Happiness Day on March 20th.
Hey, thank you.
Thanks, Stephanie. I hadn't told my wife yet.
Sorry about that.
With that, we will move on to ordinances. Number 4, massage ordinance update. Tom, I think it's good to see you again.
Thank you. All right, good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. As you recall, a matter was brought forth in the January 17th meeting, and we received direction from council to make some modifications to better honor the training that our local massage professionals had gone through. So we've done that. What we put into place was to remove the provisional license feature in the original version of the revised ordinance. We've now replaced that with an exempt therapist provision. And basically what that will do will be to allow therapists who would meet the criteria under the existing ordinance to receive a local license. They will be able to receive that license as long as they apply for it before the end of the year. And they can continue to receive that license and renew it for this point moving forward. There's no end date. The only provision is that they need to maintain it in good standing. They can't let it lapse or expire. And they will be subject to the provisions of the new ordinance or the revised ordinance. In addition to that, just to get the word out, and I've been working with Ms. Julie Stone to try to do this the most effective way, the police department will send a notice through the mail to every massage therapist that we've ever licensed to make them aware of this provision, of the exempt therapist provision, as well as the new ordinance or the revised ordinance features of that. And we'll also work with Ms. Stone to send a letter in the mail to her students so that they will be aware of it in case they've never actually used their training to get a license. So we feel this is a good compromise. Again, people will have till the end of the year to apply. And as long as they continue to keep their license active and don't let it lapse, they'll have that option for as long as they want it. After the end of the year, then any new therapist or anybody else that wants a license will have to go through the state's board, the California Massage Therapy Council. With that, I did want to just add a few items that I think are important for your consideration for this revised ordinance. First off, the California Massage Therapy Council has been designated as the state's licensing authority for massage therapists in California. The Therapy Council has the capability to conduct very comprehensive background checks to include using a nationwide data bank for massage therapists and applicants, which we do not have access to otherwise. The background checks and licensing services are offered free of charge for cities and eliminate the need for a local city to use a staff person to perform these functions. So there's a time saving and a cost savings with that. The Massage Therapy Council covers all associated costs with appeals for license denials, suspensions, or revocations. An action can be initiated against the licensee simply by a peace officer or local government official entering a complaint into the Massage Therapy Council's website, their secure web-based reporting system. And local officials are not required to appear in person for complaint hearings or appeals. They do that with an affidavit that their staff handles. The city's current ordinance limits our ability to deny a permit. We can do it, but there are limitations. The California Massage Therapy Council may deny or suspend a permit upon a preponderance of evidence standard of unprofessional conduct as outlined in Section 4609 of the Government Code. This includes some 30 different acts in addition to criminal violations. Additional operating requirements were added to the revised ordinance for massage businesses to follow, including a requirement to notify the police department of any arrest of employees and owners. The business registration appeal process was simplified. The enhanced licensing standards and oversight capabilities of the California Massage Therapy Council will likely push the criminal element within the massage profession to cities which don't require the California Massage Therapy Council licensing, making cities such as ours right now more vulnerable potentially. And the list of cities partnering with the California Massage Therapy Council is growing. Currently, over 180 cities in California require massage therapists to be licensed by the California Massage Therapy Council. So in summary, we believe the revised ordinance includes a fair and appropriate compromise between the interests of our local massage professionals and the city towards improvements in the licensing and oversight of massage services in Yuba City. As such, we believe it is in the best interest of the public to revise our city's municipal code to follow the intent of state law brought about by the Massage Therapy Act. With that, I'd like to introduce an ordinance repealing and reenacting Chapter 3 of Title 5 to the Yuba City Municipal Code regarding massage establishments and massage therapists and waive the first reading. And I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have at this time.
Any questions from council members? Seeing none, I think this has been well worked on for the last 4 or 5 months. You've done a great job. Thank you for working with the citizens out there. Did you want to make a comment? I do. Okay.
First of all, I have to thank Mr. Tappy, because he's been very, 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 very patient with me. We have covered a lot of ground. We ended our conversation the other day is we just have to agree to disagree. What he has done here, I feel, it's the biggest compromise that has been set out there. You guys all know, that I don't feel that this needs to happen, because I was very, very worried about the people that have their licenses and they didn't have the education, and that you guys were going to force them into not being able to afford to get licensed again. But the way he's doing it, as long as they don't miss a timeline, I can't say a whole lot about it. It's very frustrating, because the Massage Therapy Council is actually going to vote on Thursday on if, like, people that got their education from my school, and it's not just my school I'm worried about all the other schools out there that have been forced to shut down. Anybody that is come from a school that has shut down, they're going to vote on Thursday if they're going to give people another continuance to get further education put in. It's just like I say, she went to our school in 2010. Yes, she graduated in 2010. And when she left our place, she went to work in Gridley. Now she's in Yuba City. So it would be a hardship for her big time if she had to start all over with her education. And I've got other massage therapists that are afraid to come and talk to you guys, because they're afraid that you know who they are and you're going to make it so they can't work. And that's why today I couldn't get more people here. That was the main thing I heard from everybody, was that they were afraid to come and show you their face. So, but like I say, the compromise, it's a big compromise, and that's all I can say. It's a compromise, and it's the best one that's been thrown out there so far.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm Julie Stone, and our establishment is 1095 Stafford Way, Suite J, Julie's Massage Therapy.
Do you want my name and my address? Hi, my name's
Just
Amy.
your name is necessary. Address does not have to be said.
Thank you. My name is Amy Facey. Thank you for letting me be here. I am a massage practitioner. I graduated from 2010 with Julie's school, and I am a single mom of two. Was just informed of this as it all came about by Julie through a phone call. I have been practicing since 2010, and I've been practicing in Gridley, where I got my business license first. And I was working there, and then almost 3 years ago, I started working at a prominent salon here. So I've been working in both places. A year ago, I moved to Sutter, and I'm still working here, and I also am at a salon in Gridley. Again, I'm a single mom of two, and for me to start over is a bit terrifying. It's my sole income, and I've worked very hard at what I do. I am an extreme professionalism woman, and I wouldn't be working in the facility that I do here in Yuba City if that wasn't so. They have very high expectations and a very high work ethic protocol, and I'm very proud of what I do. I love what I do, and I don't want anybody to be able to take away from that or minimize my professionalism and what I do. It is a hard profession to be in, and you have to work very hard at what you do. I wish it was different in this profession, and I wish everything was across the board, and it was state board. Everyone had to be state board, and so I look forward to it being that way. But to take away my license today would, like someone else said today, would be very challenging. So thank you.
Okay, any comments or questions by the council members? Mr. Buckland?
Through the mayor. This is for Commander Tappy. Tom, Ms. Stone has referenced a vote that would be coming this Thursday from the California Massage Therapy Council. Tell us how, if they were to grandfather in the training, as I read this, that they would be able to do the licensing for those hours if they were to authorize that training into their system. Am I correct on that?
Yes, my understanding is that if this passes on Thursday, the Massage Therapy Council will consider training hours from closed schools, such as Julie Stone's. And so what that would mean is that if somebody had 200 hours of training from Ms. Stone's school, they would start from there to reach the 500-hour mark. So another 300 hours of certified training, and then they'd be eligible for the state license.
I guess I'm somewhat perplexed by the comments that massage therapists or practitioners weren't willing to come forward to speak because there would be some type of retribution from this council. I think is very unfair, seeing that this council at the last ordinance, the last proposed ordinance, had asked for modifications to include training, to that training to be from Ms. Stone's school or any other school, not just hers, but any other school within our jurisdiction that had been up and operational during that period of time. So I'm a little perplexed by why no one else besides the one other speaker would come forward to speak against this. This appears to me to be one of the best. What this council had asked for is one of the best outcomes possible for our massage therapy community, whether they're a practitioner or a therapist, in adopting their training time, their local training time, to be able to continue to practice. I guess the only objection would be possibly, and maybe Ms. Stone can speak to this, is the fact that we're implementing an ordinance with regulations. Is that I mean, I'm just going to ask you, Ms. Stone, is that the objection to this?
No, like I said, I think that people are afraid of the unknown. I think that they're afraid that they're going to lose their livelihood. I think they're afraid, like I said, most of the people they know what you said in the past, like the last meeting. And that, it was horrible. I mean, this is a good compromise. But they haven't heard this compromise. And so, until that gets out there, when that letter, that was my biggest fear, was that a lot of people out there had no idea what was going on because they don't get the Appeal Democrat. It's not put on the internet. And if we send a letter out to everybody, then there's no excuses, and everybody will know what is going on. And then they're not going to be afraid of the unknown, if that makes sense.
Okay, I may have just simply misunderstood what you were presenting in your objection to any portion of this, but as I personally see it, this is a great compromise given the prior position of the police department in trying to meet standards that keep professionalism and training well within the guidelines being set forth by the state of California. So would that be an accurate statement?
For me? Mm-hmm. Yes, I guess. I mean,
I'm not putting words in your mouth, Julie.
well,
I'm just.
Like I said, I've just been afraid of people not knowing that the ordinance were changing, the education thing. I was afraid of all the unknowns, and he's Dr. Tappy.
You call him whatever you want at this point.
He's addressed most everything, and it's like the education thing, without their having to have a 5-year thing on there, and you guys getting rid of that, then it helps like Amy, who doesn't have, going to go and get the rest of your education. It's very, very costly. And when you're the sole supporter of your family, it's just very costly. And if with your new plan, she won't have to get those other education. She can still practice as a practitioner, and she can continue to support her family.
That answers it for me. Thank you very much, Julie.
Through the mayor.
Yes, please.
I was going to just comment on that, Julie, that I thought from our last meeting, that was the whole point, that we had made the recommendation to go back and review and bring back a modification. So even those therapists that were here at our last meeting in January, they heard that. I mean, we sent this item back to have our Yuba City Police work on it and modify it so that we can come up with a better compromise, and that works for the therapists here locally. So I'm glad to hear that it is a better compromise, because that was the whole point of us sending it back last time. So I am a little disappointed that the therapists that were here last time are not here today to actually hear about it, because it was on our website, the whole agenda and so forth. So, but we followed through as far as, looking at it, and Officer Tappy did what was asked, and he did a phenomenal job, so.
Because he came to me and he presented one, and then he came back like 2 days later and said, okay, how about this? And it's like, well, this is so much better, so.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank
So
you.
we appreciate that very much. Just wish the other therapists were here to hear that now.
Well,
So
they will with the letter.
it's recorded.
Yeah, they will with the letter.
Okay.
Thank you.
With that, no more comments. I'm looking for a motion.
Move to approve staff's recommendation.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Unanimous vote. Thank you very much. Oh, and that was to waive the first reading too.
Correct.
Okay, moving on to consent calendar. All matters listed under the consent calendar are considered to be routine and can be enacted in one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items prior to the time that the council votes on the motion, unless members of the city council, staff, or public request specific items to be discussed or removed from the consent calendar for individual action. Do I have anybody wanting to remove or discuss any of the items? Seeing none, got a motion?
Move to approve.
Motion and a,
Second.
got a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Seeing none, it's unanimous vote. Okay, moving on, general items. Equipment purchase to provide movies in the park.
So good evening, Mayor and City Council members. I'm very happy to be here tonight to tell you about a program that the Recreation Department, along with our Youth Commission and the Friends of Yuba City Parks and Recreation Foundation, will be bringing to our community. We're very lucky to have Karen Cardicelli here tonight, our board president of the Friends of the Yuba City Parks and Recreation Foundation, and she's going to come up and say a few words and introduce some of our other members.
Good evening, Karen. I see you're walking.
I'm walking temporarily, but it's a pleasure to be here in front of the council. I'm really glad to be over here instead of up there. So, Yuba City Parks and Recreation Foundation is a foundation that was established to assist and to supplement and implement parks and recreation programs and facilities in the city of Yuba City. We have one major fundraiser every year, which is the Coffee and Crooners. So buy tickets from me or any of us when you get a chance, because we want to keep this foundation going. I'd like to just read you the names or introduce our members that are here today, and then tell you who else is on the commission, and also this movie project, which she'll explain. Excuse me, where'd you go? There she is. Further, is one of the issues that we are interested in doing. As was mentioned, I'm the current president of the organization. Here we have another member, Sharon Dowdle Cornells. Might look familiar to you. That's my twin sister. And then we have also Sharon Foote, and she's from the Senior Commission. We also have Michelle Blake, who's a member. Brad Bozanik, who serves as our treasurer. John Cassidy is the president pro tem. Narinder Dhaliwal is a member. Judy Joel is a member. Jim Whitaker is a member. And, of course, Brad McIntyre, your Parks and Recreation Director, serves as our secretary. With that, I will turn it back over to our nice lady here. And hopefully, if you have any other questions about the Youth Commission, the Youth Commission, yeah. I don't qualify anymore. Any other questions about the foundation, I'd be happy to answer those. In fact, probably I'll leave it up to you. Thank you.
All right. So the Movies in the Park event series will give our local residents an opportunity to visit their city parks for a free, safe evening event with their families. Our local business community will be given the opportunity to make a positive impression on their business by being a sponsor. And then the summer movies will take place at Gaucher Aquatic Park on Saturday evenings in the summer during our Twilight Swim, to kind of put it out there and get some exposure as we have another program going on. Later on, maybe we'll add a few more or do different dates, just kind of see how it's going to go. And actually, we're going to be doing some other things with the movie screen, and we have John Krager from the Youth Commission that's going to tell you a little bit about what we're going to do with the high schools.
Hello. I'm here tonight with my fellow commissioners Nick Levy, Raiden Toshe, Joanna Jarvis, Samir Gupta, and Navdeep Ball. Using the equipment purchased, we will be offering a series of movies at the local high schools. We'll be doing 2 movies over the summer, one at River Valley High School and one at Yuba City High School. The movies will be oriented more towards teenagers. And as it progresses, we hope to do some that are also oriented towards middle school students. At the movies, we will have a snack bar for fundraising. We hope that the movies provide a fun opportunity for kids over summer to get out and enjoy each other's company. And we hope that it will bring high school students together. Thank you.
All right. So my recommendation to you is to purchase from Open Air Cinemas from Linden, Utah, the equipment needed to run the program, totaling $12,849. $6,425 of that will come from the Friends of Yuba City Parks and Recreation Foundation. $6,161 will come from the Achievement Grant Fund, and $262 would come from the Yuba City Youth Commission Fund. And I am open for any questions if any of you have any questions.
Any comments, questions from the council?
So, through the mayor.
Yes, ma'am.
I guess what I look at is, I see a lighted environment. Does this include all the equipment that will be necessary to include projection and sound?
Yes. It has the speakers, it has the projector, it has the DVD player, it has the stands for the speakers, it has the movie screen itself. I've talked to, and everything comes with its own carrying case and everything, so it will be very easy to move it from place to place when we do things at the high school and everything. So it does come with a complete package, everything that we will need to do that.
And then the type of movies that are being shown, can you tell us?
Well, definitely as in the parks, they will be family oriented. Probably anything from PG to G. I'm not sure yet. I don't have my lineup yet, quite of what we're going to do. But I have been looking at other cities, what they offer and what they do, and kind of talking to them and see what has been popular and what has worked and what hasn't worked. So I don't have an exact lineup of what we're going to show, but they would be family oriented and appropriate.
So that was one question. The second one to that is, do we have to pay a fee
No, it's actually going to.
for the movies themselves?
Oh, for the movies, yes.
Okay.
We haven't got to that point yet either, but I know there is some kind of, I don't know I forgot. Licensing. I couldn't
licensing
think of the word.
for use.
Yeah, so we do have to do that.
And then my last question is, I've noticed that some of the concerts in the park and things like that, individuals don't abide by our ordinances for smoking, use of alternative tobaccos to include medicinal products. What's the plan at not on the high school grounds, but in the public parks to be able to police that?
I'm not sure yet. I mean, kind of what we do for concerts, we do the best we can. So that is definitely something that I will look at, and I can kind of get back to you if.
My recommendation, possibly, Ann, would be to see if we can't get even volunteers from our.
I thought about the volunteer police.
Our VIP program to maybe help out on that. But
we've kind of thrown that around.
I think it's a great concept. It's been done, in other communities. It's well received. It's a lot of fun. I look forward to it. And the content of it, not so much. Is not so much a question, but it's the audience that it would draw to.
Yes.
So.
And also by doing it, I'm going to be doing it on the Twilight Swim. We'll be able to utilize our concession stand too. So we'll be able to offer concessions and stuff and everything. So
I think it's a great addition to our Parks and Rec program.
Great. Any other comments? Yes.
Just another comment too. Basically, it's a wonderful thing going on in the community. You hear oftentimes, especially from the teens. I was happy to hear that the teens are getting involved and targeted with that because they say there's nothing to do in Yuba City, right? Well, this is one more option that they have, and it's a great cooperation with the foundation, a good use of grant funding, and one more thing to do. So thank you very much for all the effort. Clearly, you guys put a lot of effort into it.
Sure.
And good job, John.
I'm hoping with the twilight, because the twilight kind of ends, it will just be getting dark, so hopefully they'll come out after that.
Councilmember Didball?
Just an added note, I know some of you were in the Summer at City Hall program, and this idea was brought up there too, so I'm glad that it's actually coming together. So there were several students in there that actually wanted to open like an amphitheater and do movies out there. So good job. I'm glad to hear it.
I've actually, in my travels and staying at resort hotels like at Disney World, they have these things there certain nights of the week, and all the kids show up. So I've actually experienced it. And let me know when Big Hero 6, I guess it is, is on. I want to see it again like that because it was a blast with the kids just jumping up and down and going nuts.
Well, see, that's a good recommendation. I wouldn't know that.
Yeah, well, that's one of my favorites. So with that, if there's no other questions or comments, looking for a recommendation.
Move to approve, please.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Seeing none, unanimous. Let's get
Thank
that
you.
equipment.
Put La La Land on that list.
What's that?
Oh, no, it's not.
Okay, now we have Arnoldo Rodriguez up there to talk about our block grant.
Mayor, members of the council, Arnoldo Rodriguez, Development Services Director. The one thing that the high school students are missing is that they would have received extra credit for hearing my presentation. So it looks like there's probably still a few out there. So maybe they can come back. Yeah, right.
Yeah, those are the ones.
So the item before you, it's just an overview of the city's community block development program. And staff is also requesting direction from the council this evening in terms of how funds are allocated for the upcoming 2017-2018 CDBG funding program. For background purposes, the city of Yuba City is an entitlement city, and what that entails is that the city is eligible for grant dollars from HUD. Last year, we received approximately $580,000, and it does run on a fiscal year, so the funds are generally allocated beginning July the 1st, which runs through June the 30th of the following year. The entitlement city portion of it, or component of it, it's based on needs and the city's demographics. There are some communities that are of our size that receive say less dollars in comparison to Yuba City. There's comparable cities to Yuba City that receive less funds in comparison to Yuba City. So again, it's all based on needs and the local demographics. The intent of the program is to provide decent housing, a suitable living environment, and to expand economic opportunities primarily for low and moderate income persons. As part of the CDBG program, there is a 5-year report that the city has to submit to HUD, and that's called the Consolidated Plan. What the Consolidated Plan discusses is it outlines the city's strategies for the next 5 years in terms of how those funds will be allocated. So as the annual grant becomes available, the city's programs have to fall within one of the umbrella programs of the Consolidated Plan. The Consolidated Plan that we're currently operating under was adopted in 2015, and that runs through 2020. On top of the Consolidated Plan, there are 2 annual reports that the city has to submit to HUD. Every year around May time, the city prepares an action plan. What the action plan entails or consists of is it outlines the program activities that the city is going to be using the HUD funds for the upcoming year. So in probably the end of April, beginning of May, city staff will be returning to city council for direction for the 2017-2018 annual action plan. The CAPER report is the second annual report that city staff has to prepare and submit to HUD. What the CAPER entails is it articulates what the funds were spent for the previous year. So in September, we'll be returning back to the city council and we'll be outlining a report that describes how the funds for 2016-2017 were spent. In terms of allocating the funds themselves, the city does have discretion in terms of how we allocate the funds. There's a plethora of guidelines from HUD. It's an enormous document. However, within that document, again, we do have some discretion. However, activities generally have to include housing activities, rural property investments, economic development, and then the program and administration. There is a cap for the program administration of 20%. So last year, for example, the city received roughly $580,000. The maximum that can be spent on the administration of the program would be roughly $104,000. And then also public services. The public services has a cap of 15%, and I'm going to dive into that in 2 slides. Oh, thank you, Terrell. So for example, last year, or the current fiscal year that we're in, the city received approximately $580,000. Of that, the city had allocated roughly 18% for the administration cost. Public services was 15%. It's simply due to rounding numbers. I believe it says 14%. Facility improvements was 67%, again for a total of $601,000. The reason that it shows $601,000 versus the $580 is in some of the activities they're actually paid for from the previous year, so there were some carry over dollars from the previous fiscal year. However, with that being said, our total budget allocation was $580,000. Historically, in terms of public services, so public services largely entail programs where the city serves as the fiscal agent for subrecipient grants. The subrecipient grants have historically gone towards organizations that provide some form of assistance to people experiencing temporary homelessness or a lot of our local veterans programs. Historically, the city has attempted to maximize the full 15% for the program. Again, that's not the minimum, rather that's the maximum. So there are a lot of great programs in our local community. I'm absolutely confident that if we can provide them 25% of our total allocation, we probably would. However, there is a cap of 15%. Historically, again, we have given the full 15%, and as the overhead shows, this goes back to 2012. I'm sorry, to 2013, which was roughly $74,000, and again, last year was approximately $90,000. In the fiscal year, we allocated about $84,000, but again, some of those were slightly carryover figures from the previous fiscal year. So a couple of slides ago, I think it was slide 5, I stated that HUD does allow local jurisdictions some discretion with how those funds are allocated. With that being said, HUD has informed the city that they have some preferred programs that they would strongly encourage the city to explore or to focus in terms of how the resources are allocated. For example, one of the messages that we received is that HUD prefers that smaller subrecipient grants be consolidated, and specifically those would be for the public service programs that we described, which historically have targeted people experiencing temporary homelessness. And then the second thing that HUD has expressed to us is that they favor facility improvements versus public service activities. So again, the public service activities does have a cap on it of 15%. However, from HUD's perspective, they haven't necessarily told us we shouldn't be spending 15% on that. However, again, they actually do favor public facilities, for example, real estate improvement enhancements or sidewalk improvements or things of that nature. In response to HUD, staff is proposing this year to actually have a minimum grant application. So the floor would be a minimum of $5,000 for subrecipient grants. That $5,000 floor again would apply to the public service component of the grant, which again would be a maximum of 15% of our entire allocation. And secondly, we are strongly recommending that subrecipient grants collaborate on like programs with the goal of eliminating duplicative efforts. One of the challenges that we have is that while we have excellent agencies here in our local community, there are a couple of agencies that perform what we would probably consider, from HUD's perspective, like services. And so one of the things that we've been doing since last year is we've been meeting with some of the subrecipients to encourage them to join forces or to collaborate to make sure that we're not duplicating efforts, because while $85,000 sounds like a big pot of money, when you're serving a relatively large area such as ours, it's probably not enough to go around. And again, the goal simply being is to eliminate duplicative efforts and at the same time to try to minimize our administrative cost over the long run. And that was in direct response to HUD. So with that being said, staff is requesting that the council direct staff to give primary consideration to homeless support services for community funding request. Again, that would be the public service activities, with the caveat being, of course, that the maximum that we can allocate to that would be the 15%. And second, that the subrecipients, that we make every effort to consolidate funding awards to fewer providers to provide a range of homeless support services. So with that being said, that concludes staff's presentation.
Any comments or questions from my fellow council members?
Through the mayor.
Yes.
Hate to be the only one talking tonight. Mr. Rodriguez, in my conversations with former Secretary Castro, and I had these conversations a number of times last year by telephone with him and with staff members of the prior White House administration. The focus from HUD was that possibly the money would be utilized in not multiple $5,000 increments,
correct,
but in larger components that would also serve not just the homeless component, but they also have an emphasis on veteran homelessness at HUD. So I don't know what the current administration is looking at. I have no idea what what the changes at HUD will be going forward, but I can only imagine that they'll stay probably somewhat in line with that, as there's been a focus to generally try to reduce homelessness and certainly make an impact with our veteran component of homelessness. So my encouragement would be that the grants not be limited just to that, but that we look at large allocations to have a direct impact on providing services to that section of our community.
Okay, thank you.
No other comments? Looking for a motion?
I'll move the staff's recommendation.
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Seeing none, it's a unanimous vote. We will move on now to business from the City Council. Councilmember Buckland, you get to talk again.
I'll make it very, very short. The other day I had the opportunity to be on air over at KUBA. We spent about 45 minutes on air, and again it was with Willie B. But answering questions regarding the evacuation and some of the challenges that went on. So it was an opportunity, I think, for the public to hear from the individual that provided them a great deal of information as he proceeded along. And then in our off time, our off-air time, when there might be the Bee Gees playing or something like that, they play some old music. So as we were sitting there talking, he also was able to gain a lot of insight about our past history. And Willie B came directly 8 years in New Orleans. So he was present during a lot of incidents and post-Katrina. So he knew a little bit about the procedures, and therefore was helpful to our community. But in answering a lot of those questions, certainly I would recommend to anyone that on was Tuesday night, the forum over here at the Veterans Center, that people come and participate. Dale and anyone that you know, and certainly the public, needs to come and be engaged in that process. Also attended, well, the weekend was very eventful with everything going on with Buckeye, the hostess part. I'll let you speak about the reception with the hostess, but the parade, John Deere helping us out with the gators. Anytime you take a gator to a chicken festival, it could potentially be problems because that's what gators eat, but never mind. I guess that was a bad joke. Yeah. But it was a lot of fun, well attended by the public. The weather held out once again for Buckeye, and then the receptions that followed that event and the dinners with the Hop Sing Society. We certainly appreciate that. And the ability to help the Hop Sing Society raise some money. I had that distinct honor, and they have a vision for putting an arch, an entry arch into Chinatown.
Chinese style.
Yeah, the Chinese arch into Chinatown in Marysville, and we helped them raise a little over $15,000 the other night at that dinner. Not the intent of the dinner, but certainly was an opportunity to help them raise just a few amount of funds. On Monday, attended the Government Relations Affairs Committee meeting down at the Sacramento Area Council of Governments, where we discussed some of the SB 375 kind of impacts, what that Senate bill has done in trying to reduce the amount of vehicle miles traveled. And with compliance now, the federal government and the state are both looking at ways to make up money. So now they're going to penalize people for reducing their vehicle miles traveled. by charging them to drive their electric vehicles for a certain amount of miles, and it's an annual fee that they want to add onto these vehicles. It just seems that our legislature can't make up their mind one way or another what direction they want to go, and in the attempt to reduce greenhouse gases, they have created a more complex environment for the users of our roads, and certainly the care and maintenance of our roadways. And then one thing for the community that I was very interested in receiving this information is SACOG is involved with Grant Finder. This is available to all governmental agencies in the region and nonprofits. It's Grant Finder, and they will assist in locating and providing resources to grants, and should one be located for an additional charge, this is all free to government and free to nonprofits. But in addition, they also do offer the service of writing the grants should that become necessary for, let's say, a small organization that's looking for money from a specific grant. And then the attendance, I know that a number of us from the local area will be going to Cap back in Washington, D.C. And it's interesting. I sit on the transportation committee back there, and we'll have a number of meetings, but those meetings are growing and expanding quickly in knowing what the needs are and what the current administration is looking at for funding infrastructure. So there's going to be an opportunity, we hope, to be able to set a meeting with White House staff while we're back there for the electeds. So we're encouraged with that, and certainly we'll be trying to help move that effort forward. That's all I have.
And that was short, by the way. Okay, Councilman Cardoza.
Okay. Like Councilman Buckland said, we had a wonderful weekend, Buckeye Festival weekend, so I'll just make this quick and easy. Just like to bid a special thank you to the Yuba City Arts Council, the Mary Ellen Museum, Larry Booth for Frank M. Booth, and the Hop Sing Society, and also Valley Truck and Tractor. I'd like to thank all those folks for us having a great, fun weekend. For meetings, the last couple of weeks, I attended the Regional Housing Authority meeting. Nothing out of the ordinary, just general maintenance. Mainly just general maintenance. There was nothing out of the ordinary on that. Monday, I attended my first, here we go, North Sacramento Valley Integrated Regional Water Management Group, which that consists from Sutter County to Shasta County, 5 counties. It's my first one there, so it's going to be a great learning experience. I'm kind of out in left field right at the moment, but it's going to be a learning experience there. I'll have more in the future. I sat back and watched Will Arnaldo, the Economic Development Commission. He ran that meeting, got a lot of insight on that for tonight's evening. For fun stuff, last Friday we had Read Across America. I went to Park Avenue School, read to the 1st and 3rd graders, and it was my old alma mater. And even out of all of it, I was even in the classrooms that I went to school with way back when. My 3rd grade class and my 5th grade class at that time for me, but it was 1st and 3rd now. I had a fun time, answered questions with the kids, and I look forward to doing that more in the future. I attended a ribbon cutting ceremony for the chamber, Fresco 16. It's a brand new art gallery in the Hillcrest Plaza. Also attended a community health event that Vice Mayor Preet hosted. That was also fun, interesting, and the only thing I regret is she didn't have margaritas because we had chips and salsa or nachos, and she forgot to bring the margarita machine. Other than that, that's it for me. Thank you.
Okay, that sounds like a good activity there. Councilman Harris.
I can't top margaritas, but I'll give it a shot. For my boards and commissions, they ended up being postponed for the last 2 weeks. However, We did attend the Community Drug Forum over here at Veterans Hall earlier this, not too long ago. It was very good information. Would like to have seen a little better attendance there. We've had a lot of rise in serious accidents here locally in Yuba City. We've had 7 fatality outside of the city limits alone in the first 2 months of this year. Last year had a total of 16 for the entire year, and 4 of those were either alcohol and or drug related or a combo of both. So it's kind of concerning with the, we're looming down the barrel here of legalizing marijuana. That can only be a bad thing in my opinion, and I'm not looking forward to seeing some of the results. So we're trying to make every effort we can to get in front of that, educating some folks on the hazards of that. To hopefully they'll use some good judgment, not get behind the wheel. We're also going to get with alcohol beverage control, put together a training opportunity for everybody who holds an alcohol license in the 2 counties, including Yuba City, to try to educate the business owners, the bartenders, and the restaurant owners as to the signs and symptoms of alcohol intoxication so they can cut these people off, also the liability they're assuming by continuing to choose to serve them. So hopefully, I'm sensing that we're going to save some lives on that effort alone, but it is, it's alarming to look at that and see the aftermath of such a tragedy that doesn't have to happen. One of the fatalities that I went to, the driver who lived, the passenger did not. The passenger had 3 little kids at home. They left 2 businesses in Yuba City before they went out and made that fateful right turn and killed somebody. So we're trying to do the best we can to try to prevent that. So bottom line, the drug forum was good. That information to the public, if people take the time to listen, we have everyone has the internet in front of them, or research it and just make good choices. Nowadays, there's no reason to drive under the influence of anything at all. I forgot my glasses. I went to a preparatory meeting for future flood planning preparation that was mentioned earlier today. We are working in the works of setting that up, so everyone can have a conversation about that, develop some sort of plan, which is all we can do. I know in the chaos of disasters and emergencies like this, it never works out as planned. It's a lot of chaos. Communication is always a challenge, but we do the best we can to get some type of blueprint in place. I also attended the Buckeye reception for the hostess for 2017 at the Arts Council. It was very, very well attended. It was very nice, community event. She got all kinds of gifts. It was wonderful. I was happy to be there. Went on a meeting and a tour of Yuba City Transit Authority over here in Marysville. Met with their director over there and learned a lot about all things buses, all different types of sizes of buses and everything you can do about that. These people take their buses seriously, and I'm happy to see that. They do a very good job. Was planning on going to the funeral, or excuse me, the parade, but had to go to a funeral. Unfortunately, one of our officers was killed in the line of duty down in Sacramento, and that, of course, demanded my attendance down there. But I did able to make it back in time to go to several events post-parade, which, as Councilman Buckland said, was also very popular, very fun, very community-oriented, both sides of the river uniting for a good thing. Really makes us special to have that type of diversity, and that celebration is alive and well, and I was proud to be a part of it. Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to Vice Mayor Didball.
All right, we had a couple of meetings. We had our monthly LAFCO meeting, and there are a couple of topics that came up. One is the preparation, the EIR preparation for the Bogan Stewart Master Plan. So that is moving forward. And we also had results from the protest hearing for the annexation. Signatures at this time are being verified, so we don't have the full count yet. We will get that update as soon as those are verified, and we will keep you updated. I also attended, even though I'm an alternate, the FRACMID, the Feather River Air Quality Management District. Never been, so I'm new on this committee, but I wanted to go ahead and go attend the meeting to see what kind of business and, you know, what those meetings are all about. So I sat with Stan there. Community Health Forum, as several of you have mentioned already. The opportunity to put these forums together is very critical for a community that's going through changes, for any community, any city that goes through changes, and as times are changing with new things. So we do try to collaborate and look at issues that are today's concerns. And although this topic is not always easy to discuss, but marijuana and drugs and what it does to our youth, no matter how we look at it, it's affecting our kids, and it's affecting our families, it's affecting our cities. You know, as Councilmember Harris indicated, you know, the fatalities that we hear about on our roads and our freeways, we have to be proactive. I know these conversations are not easy, but that's the whole reason we have these community health forums. And I just wish more of our community would attend. So we will continue to put them on a quarterly basis. This is a conversation on the marijuana and the drugs that we will probably bring right back again, because it is very, very critical that we get in front of this and not get into a very reactive mode and picking up the pieces afterwards. So, you know, when those postings go out, I hope that you will mark your calendars to be there. I just want to say thank you to a couple of the guest speakers that did come out. One was Emily. She shared her story. She was in a car accident. She was actually the passenger. Person behind the wheel was under the influence. But Emily is the one that lost her arm. She shared her story. She shared with everyone that she can no longer put her hair up in a ponytail. When she orders steak or something that needs to be cut, somebody else has to help her. She can't do it herself anymore. She has kids. She made a comment that touched all of us, and that was, I feel less of a mom because I don't have an arm. All because of being under the influence. Somebody was behind that wheel under the influence and changed her life forever. So thank you, Emily, for being there, sharing your story. The other guest speaker was Brooklyn. She spoke at the end of the Community Health Forum because we wanted to also talk about rehabilitation. She's been in rehabilitation for 17 months. She started with marijuana. She ended up using heroin. So for those of us who think that marijuana is not a gateway drug, think twice. It is a gateway drug. Many of us come from corrections background, and we see it as a gateway drug all the time. So Brooklyn shared her story about getting back up on her feet, and she is a mother, she is a daughter, and picking up the pieces now and trying to put her life back together. Dr. Kudmonti, he was the neurologist who did a fabulous job with the presentation. As a neurologist, we know that jargon can get really deep and heavy, but he did a phenomenal job in really getting rid of that jargon and really making the information understandable for the many teenagers that were actually in that room, along with the parents that were there. The forum ended at 8 o'clock, but I have to say that the conversation, that discussion actually continued for another half an hour afterwards because people wanted to stay. So even though we didn't have the margaritas, we did have a nacho bar, and people actually grabbed nachos. They stuck around because they wanted to have the conversation. They talked with each of the guest speakers. So for those of you, you know, the next time you see these community forums pop up, please make an effort to be there because they are very informative, and these guest speakers take a lot out to share their stories. Bacchae Parade, both the parade and the dinner, had a fabulous time. The festivities, so colorful, had a great time. Both my daughter and I were able to share those opportunities and talk about diversity and learning about different cultures. It's such a beautiful thing. So looking forward to doing those every year. I also, aside from just the work that we do here, I actually had the privilege to attend a conference in Sacramento regarding government transformation and innovation. And we went through an evacuation, an emergency, and actually one of the sections that I did attend was on emergency preparedness. So it was an eye-opener for me to just look at different technologies, things that we were talking about, how social media does affect a lot of these situations. So I was really glad as far as timing to be able to attend this conference. The other areas that I did attend was just government innovation and transformation in HR, so our human resources divisions, because we have a whole different generation that's coming into the workforce, and how do we attract that, and how do we get the word out, and how do we make the jobs that we do as public service, how does that become more attractive to the young folks that are coming in, and how do we use our, the baby boomers as well as us, the Generation X, to transform and get that message out, and use it as education, to use it as succession planning for the future. Some of the other areas, just new innovation on how technology can be used in all of the areas that we, like our health records, how information is forwarded from one department to another, and how do we make sure that all of the information is safe with all that. So it was a really, really interesting conference, and I hope in the future, once I find out about it, maybe we can get our staff here to attend those as well. And just as a reminder, next Tuesday, March 14th at 7 o'clock at Veterans Hall will be a regional effort to get public feedback as we are looking at our emergency preparedness plans. That feedback is going to be critical so that we listen to your concerns, your issues. You're the eyes and ears of what was happening out there as we were working behind, at the operation centers and taking care of what we needed to take care of on our end. But it's going to be really, really important to get your feedback to help in updating emergency plans and making sure that we're catching everything that was happening. Okay. Other than that, I don't think I have anything else.
Okay, thank you, Vice Mayor Didball. Mine is very short. I do want to say that it was a great time with the hostess presentation, Stacy Suyin. I've known her parents since they've moved here, and remember when her and her sister were basically born and raised up, and she's doing a phenomenal job. 22, graduated from Santa Cruz, and she's making the final decision of where she's going to apply her education now. FracMid, definitely attended that. We selected the new chair and vice chair. I'm out of the chair now again. Wonderful. Anytime I can sit and just make discussion and decisions that way, it's great. I did hear that Mike Inamine, who's with our Cedar Butte Flood Control Agency, is going to be giving testimony in Washington, D.C., I think it's tomorrow or Thursday, one of the 2 days, about some of the things that occurred here at this Oroville event, and other items also, to Congress and members of Congress and the different committees. So he's going to be back there with some heavy-duty ammunition to support what we've been saying all along. We're already well known back there in Congress in many halls of the government for our efforts on our flood efforts on the levees and everything else. So we have a great reputation. So I think some very good results on that will be happening. I will also be going to cap, but I will be on water supply and water quality. No, I'm not going to be on flood, which is my specialty, but that's your specialty now. So I'm moving over to water supply and quality, and I think we have an opportunity at this time to extol the benefits of having more water storage and finally get some true results out of it in the next few years. Going to try to accelerate the process of CEQA and NEPA. Twist the arm of our government here in the state to say, no, not 2022 for the EIR. We need it done accelerated. Give it 1 year. That location has been studied since I think it's 58 or something like that. And $6 or $7 million already spent on studies. So I think we need to accelerate them on that. Other than that, I Thank you for being here. Oh, wait a minute.
Just to the mayor. Our city clerk, it's her anniversary today, so I just wanted to point that out to you. So
Wait a minute.
it's her anniversary today.
Her anniversary. Okay.
Yeah. Just,
Okay.
but I didn't want to interrupt things.
Oh, okay.
And one more.
Well, congratulations for in the endurance run that you are on with our fellow councilman. Congratulations, you two. It's great.
Also, Mr. Mayor, any comment about your fun trip to Japan?
Oh, that's what I was going to say.
There you go.
Sorry. Thank you very much.
You got 30 seconds.
It was really odd because, like everybody said, no problems. Go on the trip to Japan, the sister city, and also some economic items that I did do while there, the extra time. And while we were in the air is when all the evacuation was called. So I didn't even know until hours later when we landed in Japan. And then I kept track, Wi-Fi. It was there. I was able to communicate, find out, and all I would have probably done is gotten in the way under their feet. So, one more person. But then I did keep up on everything. And when I got back, I watched all the videos, listened to all the stuff that was going on. So I'm up to speed. And so I didn't have to endure that. But tell you, jet lag is tough, that many hours. And it took me 5 days to even be able to walk straight, I think. That's maybe part of it. But it was very enjoyable. I did some extra traveling and visited some businesses over there, and possibility of doing some more local community exchange to where the products that they actually make in our sister city can be brought over here and put in a store somewhere for exchange, and we can send some things that our local people build in their cottage industries and the small stuff like that they could have over there. So I'm trying to work on something like that occurring to where there's a true exchange of products. Other than that, it was enjoyable, and hopefully some good things will come out of the economic side of it. With that, nothing else. Meeting adjourned.